Hey, welcome to the DFS Sweatshop. This is your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. I'm here to talk with you about the slate of games for Week 4 in the NFL. Now, if you're new to the podcast, go ahead and like, subscribe. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. We're going to be doing a lot of content. The baseball is closing. Football is really just getting started, and we're going to be doing some NBA in the next month or so. So stay tuned and stick with us. Now here we're going to go ahead and break down we're going to start with the Vegas lines, because anytime we get into lineup building, what we first want to do, we want to go in and examine what the guys in Vegas are saying these games point totals. Because as any good DFS player knows, the games with the most points yield the best plays. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and let's get started. Now we're going to start with the highest point total of the week. This is going to be the San Diego Chargers at the New Orleans Saints. We're opening up with a 52 point total. It's a 425 game. A lot to like here. Number one, we're going to notice that New Orleans is going to be home. Now, in any time, excuse me. Now, first thing we're going to realize from the San Diego and New Orleans game is Drew Brees is not at home. So if you're one of those people that, you know, you're scared of Drew Brees on the road, you don't think he's going to play well on the road, you may want to get exposure to the other side of the ball on offense when it comes to picking a quarterback. I really think Phillip Rivers is going to be a really hot play this week, coming into the game with the highest point total, and you're still going to get a lot of cheap targets around because nobody really performed past expectations in Week 3 as far as the San Diego Chargers are concerned. We didn't have any crazy Melvin Gordon multi-touchdown games. We didn't have any Tyrell Williams, any Travis Benjamin blowing up the way he did in Week 2. So you're going to be able to roster some of these guys at really good value. So I like the San Diego side of the ball, but of course Drew Brees is Drew Brees. And there's a really good chance that in a game with this high a point total, we're talking about a -4 to San Diego. So in 52-point games, you got San Diego giving up 4. Well, that's looking like a lot of scoring on both sides for both teams. So we're going to go to the next point total. Now, this is going to be kind of scary because it's the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars, neither of which are going to be at home. The game's going to be in London. Andrew Luck has been playing pretty well lately. We had a big monster day from T.Y. Hilton. He played very well. We also saw Allen Robinson wake up. I believe these are going to be a couple of the most heavily targeted games as far as your stacking and your correlation plays coming up in Week 4. Now I'm not sure what we're going to get out of the tight end positions from these matchups, but Hunter Henry played really well with San Diego. I'm not sure the timetable for Antonio Gates when he's going to be back, but you're going to get a lot of tasty wide receiver plays out of this. Definitely some stacks going on. Okay, now we're going to go to the next point total. It's going to be Pittsburgh -6, Kansas City. Now Pittsburgh's at home. Kansas City just had a wonderful defensive showing. I'm sure that 35 DraftKings points won someone a couple GPPs and did well for a lot of players that had the guts to go out and roster them against the team they played last week. But the -6 is something I'm a little concerned with, because anytime you get, you know, basically a touchdown differential between the two teams, there's a bigger chance that it may be a lopsided game altogether. So you could go with the Pittsburgh offense and totally disregard that Kansas City defense. They're going to be giving up 6 points. It's 47.5 point total. I always like Antonio Brown. Kansas City. We were just about to write the Kansas City defense off until the performance they had last week. But this may be maybe some fantasy goodness in here somewhere. I'm sure running the ball against Pittsburgh has not been very hard this year, so you can look for where, or you've got to stay tuned to the updates on Jamaal Charles. But even if he does come back, he is going to be limited, right? So we're going to check into the next game. We got a 46.5 point total with a -3.5 in favor of the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be at home against the Oakland Raiders. Now, this is a sneaky game right here. This is a really sneaky game right here. I like the Oakland offense in this game. I think this is a possible game stack. You look at Steve Smith, that was able to get 16 fantasy points yesterday for very, very, very low price. We're looking at 4,100 he was, and he was able to get a few targets, turn them into some catches, and do pretty well. I really like this game. This has a game stack. I like David Carr in this game. Of course, I like Michael Crabtree in this game. I like Steve Smith. This could be some fantasy goodness going on in here now. Now we've got a few 46 point totals. The first of which we're going to talk about is going to be the Carolina Panthers. Now they're traveling to Atlanta. They're giving up 3.5 points to the Atlanta Falcons. We can see them tonight. The Falcons are going to be taking on the New Orleans Saints, so you're going to watch that game so you can be aware of any injury news. I personally think that this is the game that Tevin Coleman really separates himself from Devontae Freeman. I love Tevin Coleman in tonight's game. I'm also going to be on him as they play the Atlanta Falcons. As the Falcons play the Carolina Panthers, because I think the Panthers have kind of been figured out. These cats, they run like 4 plays. The Panthers run like 4 plays, and if you can get after them, and force Cam to make really quick decisions, Minnesota Vikings showed us this past week that there is a chink in the armor. Of course, you look at Atlanta, they're gonna be scoring, throwing the ball around, so you can this is definitely a Cam Newton week. I think it's a Cam Newton week. If you don't have Cam Newton in at least 20% of your rosters, you're really not trying to win very much. I love Cam Newton this week. I also think we can see a resurgence of the Kelvin Benjamin. I believe he was used as a decoy yesterday, and it didn't really work out to the Carolina Panthers' benefit. But you can definitely hang your hat on maybe a Cam Newton, Kelvin Benjamin stack. I really think that is a possibility. Next game we're gonna get into is the Detroit Lions giving up 2.5 to the Chicago Bears. This is in Chicago. It's a 46-point total. The Chicago Bears look absolutely horrific. But if anything, Brian Hoyer did show you that he could move the ball in certain spots. Brian Hoyer was able to find wide receivers and really maybe get the ball to Eddie Royal. He certainly was able to get the ball to Alshon Jeffrey in a few spots. I like the running back that spelled Langford a lot. He played a lot. Langford looked okay. The defense at all was horrible. The Bears defense is horrible. I think the Bears are going to end up being last year's Saints, where you can just look at them and you can stack something against them anytime they play. So we're talking about Detroit here. Marvin Jones coming off a hot week. I can assure you his ownership is going to be up a little bit more than it was last week, coming off of 41 points DraftKings performance. I really like Matt Stafford in this game. I think this is where we see Riddick really play well, because you can run the ball against Chicago Bears too. So that may be a possibility for a game stack. I would bet the over in this game. I really would, because Detroit isn't that sound defensively as well. So I would definitely bet the over in this game. The next game we're going to talk about is the Washington Redskins are going to be at home against the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns, they're playing, man. They really are. They're playing for something. I guess maybe being in the same town with such a great player and a team as the Cleveland Cavaliers, they feel like they need to rise to the occasion. But, man, how about that Terrell Pryor, bro? 34 DraftKings points. He went nuts. Ham. Did everything he had to do to try to ensure a victory. But, of course, the Cleveland Browns ended up being the Cleveland Browns, and they browned out, and they lost that game. But Washington, -9.5. I'm not so sure about that. They played the New York Giants yesterday. Played a really sloppy game, but it's just who made the most mistakes. The Giants surely made more mistakes than the Washington Redskins did, and the Redskins were able to beat the Giants. Not sure what to think about Kirk Cousins and how his development is coming along. Still missing open receivers, still not seeing the entire field. They cannot run the ball. I kind of like Cleveland in the upset in this game. If I would take that 9.5 easily. Yeah, I'd take that 9.5. Now, it's not to say that we won't get any fantasy goodness out of the game as far as Jordan Reed's going to be able to get involved. We got to keep an eye on Deshaun Jackson. He kind of tweaked something yesterday in the Giants game, but Kessler didn't look as horrible as we all thought he would. But there's just no reason for me to roster anything on the Cleveland side at all. It's just, to me, this game to me is an overall fade. Like I'm not even gonna touch this game, right? So we're gonna get into the next point total. It's gonna be Denver -3 at Tampa Bay. This is a trap. Do not roster anyone from Tampa Bay. This is a trap. They're going to get after Jameis Winston. He went out and balled out. Had a really great game this past week. But let's think back to when they played Arizona and how they were totally beat down. And by the fourth quarter, the Arizona starters were out of the game. I think this is going to be that sort of game. I'm not fucking with anyone from Tampa Bay. I also like the Denver defense in this game. They're only giving up 3 points. It's at Tampa Bay, but I still really think that the Denver defense is going to have their way with the Tampa Bay offense. And that's a 44.5 point total. The next one we're going to get into is Dallas -3 at San Francisco. I think the more these guys play together, the better they're going to get. I really love Dak Prescott. I love Ezekiel Elliott. How about the vulturing of the touchdowns that was going on yesterday? Man, that was ridiculous, right? This guy should have had 3 touchdowns. He should, at halftime, he'd have been halfway to the touchdown record, man. But Dak took one in. Lance Dunbar took one in, as well as Alfred Morris. He had a touchdown run, and maybe they just want they want him to hit home runs, man. They want Zeke to hit home runs. If he doesn't punch it in or run it in from outside the 20, from outside of the red zone, he's not gonna get very many touchdowns. And if he adds that touchdown capability, that touchdown upside to his repertoire, man, we're talking about a top 2 or 3 fantasy back. That's what we're talking about when we talk about Ezekiel Elliott. But for some reason, they're just not giving him the ball inside of the one very often, or excuse me, inside of the red zone very often. And he's not getting those goal line touches that he would need to be up there with the David Johnson, to be up there with, you know, the more elite backs we see in the league. Now, like I said, I do like Dallas as the game stack. I would stay away from Dallas defense at all costs. Their defense is very porous. The San Francisco 49ers, I like Hyde in this game because you can run the ball against the Dallas Cowboys. We saw that last night. We saw it against the Giants when Rashad Jennings was able to seal the game late running the football. So I think there's some stuff to be had in here. I like the running game for San Francisco here, and I definitely like a Dallas team stack with Beasley, who may go up in price. I'm not really sure about that. He just goes so low owned. He does so well. I mean, he catches the ball. He's not very much after the catch, but man, he's catching the ball, and it seems like Dak really likes to get it to him. So that's going to be something I'm going to be on the lookout for there. Our next game we're going to talk about is going to be Miami at Cincinnati. Now, this is going to be a Thursday night game, I believe, and for me, I love to fade a Thursday night game. Players coming off of a short week, just wanting to get the game over with, get off of the field. The only thing I'd be prone to roster in most Thursday night games are going to be defenses, because teams are going to play so sloppy that there's a pretty good chance they're going to be low scoring, and we're going to see some turnovers, which backfired on me with the Jets and the Bills, because Matt Forte went the fuck off. I mean, he had a monster game. I think the point total from that game was like 42 points. They ended up scoring damn near 70. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I think the further we get into the season, the more wear and tear on the players' bodies. Thursday night's games are going to be a complete fade unless I'm playing the defense. So as far as this game goes, you can run the ball against Miami. I mean, we're talking about Cincinnati giving up 7 points, so I imagine they're going to be playing with the lead. That would tell me that I like Jeremy Hill in this game. And then them playing from behind, Miami playing from behind, that would tell me I could use Devontae Parker in this game. I could use what I feel is going to be I feel this kid is going to end up as a top 10 wide receiver from Miami. Jarvis Landry, I like him in this game. He's somebody that I can use. like I said, that is a 44.5 point total with a -7 going to the benefit of the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, now New England and Buffalo are off this week, so we don't have to worry about Tyrod Taylor scrambling around and throwing the ball for 112 yards. Don't have to worry about that. We also have Arizona at the LA Rams. Excuse me. Yes. We have Arizona at Arizona, LA Rams, and at home Arizona's giving up 8.5 points. Now, I have been very partial to the Arizona offense this year. It's been first couple weeks of the season. I've went in and I've gone with the stacks with the David Johnson and the Carson Palmer, Michael Floyd. I even got sucked into John Brown one time, and that wasn't bad. I mean, that wasn't good. Excuse me, but I don't know if I'll be going that direction in this game. I don't think I'll be going that direction. I think I'll take David Johnson maybe as a one-off, and then I like Gurley to kind of set itself together to get right. I think that they were bruised a little bit by the Buffalo Bills, and we saw that an elite, elusive back that can get past the second level can actually be trouble for the Arizona Cardinals. So I do like Gurley. I think this is Gurley's bounce back week. I think this is his bounce back game. I see him playing well. I see him playing well. So it would be interesting. The two top running backs theoretically that we saw coming into the season, Gurley and David Johnson. I could see them both being heavily owned and being rostered. I could definitely see that. Now with that -8.5 point total, excuse me, that 8.5 minus spread, that's going to lead us to believe that the Arizona offense is going to be scoring and that the Los Angeles offense is going to be behind, which will get them to throw the ball. So you may want to look at Kenny Britt. You may want to look at any receiving option from the Los Angeles Rams, even though I'm not fucking with it. I'm not touching them at all. That's a wrap for me. Now I'm going to get into the two lowest point totals of the week. The first being the Houston Texans at home, giving up 6.5 points to the Tennessee Titans. Man, is Mariota going to get right or what, man? Everyone was on Mariota this past week. Didn't do very well. I liked Murray. I liked Murray last week. I do not like him this week in this game. Houston, don't let what happened in the Belichick game from Thursday night, excuse me. Don't let that fool you, man. I really don't think that you can just run the ball willy-nilly against the Houston Texans, man. I just really don't. So I won't be rostering any Tennessee backs against the Houston Texans defense. As a matter of fact, I kind of like the Houston Texans defense here in this position at home against the young quarterback of Tennessee Titans, Marcus Mariota. Now I like him, and I like him. Also, I may like some of the Houston offense. When you look at Brock Osweiler and his acclimation to the new system, and you got Will Fuller, you've got Nuke Hopkins in the mix. This may be maybe something in there for us that we can exploit. Okay, and now another game. We've got to get more clarification on this. We're going to move into the Seattle Seahawks giving up 1.5 at the New York Jets. This is a 40.5 point total. We're going to have to really give this some consideration. We have to be, very vigilant and looking out to see if Russell Wilson is going to be playing and see where his recovery is, see what's going on with him. Man, I had him. I stacked the shit out of this game yesterday over the weekend, Seattle and San Francisco, and I loved Russell Wilson. They get off to a hard start. He's got 14 points in the first half. They're up 27-3. Things are going well. He rolls out. Somebody falls on him, sprains his knee, kills me. So unfortunately, I did have Jimmy Graham in the mix. I did have Doug Baldwin in the mix. So I was able to still cash with the lineup. But man, if Russell Wilson was able to play that entire game, man, I may have been calling in to work. The New York Jets defense has not been what we thought it would be. Todd Bowles has really got those guys playing well offensively, so to speak, but the defense hasn't been playing very well at all. So I don't see too much here that I like without some definite news, and we're going to get that later on in the week. regarding Russell Wilson and his knee injury. Now, those are going to be all of the Sunday games, the Thursday through Sunday games. But we've got a nice matchup Monday night. We're going to do the Minnesota Vikings at home, giving up 4 points to the New York Giants. This is a 43.5 point total. I'm sure the Giants are going to be looking to get right after that loss to Washington, D.C., where they made so many mistakes and took themselves out of the game. A lot of us, we rostered Odell Beckham. I do not know why we do that against an elite corner in an elite matchup. We will allow the emotion of maybe being a Giants fan, being an Odell Beckham fan, being a fan of competitive nature, these two guys mixing it up, and we're gonna, we want to get the best of that. We want to see Odell burn this dude and score 2 touchdowns, but that's not going to happen. Josh Norman is a good corner, one of the best corners in the league, and it's not going to happen. So if you roster Odell Beckham, you got 22 points, but you were hoping for a lot. You were hoping for a touchdown. You were hoping to really cash in on Odell Beckham's low ownership, but you didn't. You didn't. That's just like the game last week. Now, let's be honest. Raise your hand if you started Will Fuller. Raise your hand if you started Nuke Hopkins. How about Lamar Miller? How about the Houston defense? Raise your hand if you went against Bill Belichick at all. Exactly. Never. If there's anything that Bill Belichick has shown us is when the situation looks bleak, when it's adverse, when everything is against them and they have no shot to win, that is when you go with Bill Belichick. And I went against that. I went against my better judgment, what I knew, and it cost me greatly. I mean, this week hadn't been half as profitable as it should have been. I came out on the positive side. Still got some games left to go. I think the best lineup I had was 181.90, and maybe I'll go over that lineup in tomorrow's video. But this is just a quick overview, something to introduce you to the week. We're going to talk about the Vegas lines because you have to be in touch with the Vegas lines. If you are not in touch with the Vegas lines, you're not going to get that exposure to the most high-scoring games and the high-scoring players in those games. This is strictly just to give you an overview on what Vegas says is going to happen in Week 4. So stay tuned. We're going to be coming to you with more videos. This is your DFS Jerusalem here in the Fantasy Sweatshop, where our goal is to give you that great sweat. We want you to be looking late into the evening, making sure that you're still climbing up those leaderboards and making your way to the top. So y'all have a wonderful Monday, and I will be back with you tomorrow. This is the DFS Sweatshop. I'm your fantasy DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Signing off. Thank you.